Thank you for joining us for this edition of Better Body. With me is Dr. Wanda Holloway with the Burrell Center. Good to see you, Dr. Holloway. Appreciate it. You know, we have heard about eating disorders so much more recently. Is it as prevalent here in the Ozarks as you might find it in the rest of the country?
It really is. We find that there's about 20 million women and 10 million men have eating disorders throughout the nation. We find that a lot of people suffer from eating disorders even in the younger ages. Now we're seeing a lot of children, elementary school age children, developing a concern about their weight. And so we see that as a prevalence increasing over the years.
Can eating disorder be on both ends of the equation? I mean, obesity as well as someone who is starving themselves to death, different things like that?
Absolutely. We've identified a binge eating disorder now that we're finding with women that binge, but they don't have the compensatory behaviors such as purging. Or laxative abuse or excessive exercise. And so we're finding that going both ways. The anorexia, however, does restrict and has a concern about their body weight and size, a fear of gaining weight, and so it can go from one extreme to the other.
Are there early warning signs? Is there a proactive approach versus a reactive approach?
Yes, we need to be aware of, especially with children, that parents watch their food intake. A lot of children will, or young adolescents will, play with their food. They'll be obsessed about reading labels. They'll be focused on the size of their body and even a size of clothing that they wear. They'll constantly compare themselves to others, and they often have a perfectionism sort of behavior that they're constantly looking to be approved of because of their weight and size.
Now, a little bit earlier you mentioned percentage of women versus men with eating disorders. Can one assume this is many times due to societal pressure?
Yes, we're finding that with a lot of the social media today, there's a lot of pressure for men to be a certain size and weight. When we see a lot of advertisements on exercise and the six-pack ab, a lot of men have that as a role model to also adhere to. Women, we find the same way. They're very thin, model size, petite. They focus more on being a certain size and weight so that they can meet that social expectation, and it has to do with their self-esteem.
What are some of the signs that a parent might look for insofar as getting an early jump on this? Because I mean, I could be wrong, but as a layman, I think it's going to be easier to treat the earlier you get to it.
Yes, and that's true. If we find someone that has just started in their eating disordered behavior, they're much more easier to treat than someone that has a long-term or 2 or 3 years of the disorder. But typically we find that there is an obsession or fear of gaining weight. There is a concern about calorie and food intake. They're constantly focusing upon their body weight and size, and they often have a body distortion. They see themselves as much larger than they really are. A certain part of their body is much more distorted than what it actually is.
Doctor, if people are looking for more information or would like some help, how do they get that?
There are websites that are the national as well as local websites, but to call in our area, you can call the Burrell Center at 761-5200.
Doctor, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on Better Body.